Hi and welcome to today's review. Today we're going to talk about the Phanteks Eclipse P360A case in white version. You have also the black version, which as you can see from the front has a meshed front. This isn't any kind of meshed. I already went through that on P300A, so yeah, quite interesting case right from the first look, glance, and everything you want to add to that. So after the intro we're going to go more into details, going to tear it down and talk about, of course, thermals later on after that. So let's go. First things first, the meshed front is basically the same thing as on P300A. So we have the front intake that basically blocks the dust but also gives enough space for nice airflow, and definitely is something more interesting because additional, for instance, meshed front, and then you have additional dust filter. It kind of blocks a bit of air more than this. So yeah, this is really nice that Phanteks decided to, let's say, downsize the front mesh part, but still it's enough for the air intake. Now when we're talking about side parts, side panels, we have 4 thumb screws, 2 on each side to remove the tempered glass and to remove the back side. As for the color, it's not your typical white color that you get with other cases, so it's not matte white. This is gloss white completely. And the best thing about it, I was actually somewhat skeptical, but it doesn't leave any stains. So you have a gloss white and it doesn't leave any stains. I was going through the whole case just to see if anything will be noticed, but it's completely different when the case is white and gloss and if it's black and gloss. So that kind of does make loads of difference. But for instance, this case comes with 2 fans on front, 120mm RGB Phanteks fans. Of course, you have possibility to place 2 140 addressable RGB or DRGB, digital RGB, as you wish. At the back you have a possibility to place one 120mm fan, and on top, except for the magnetic dust filter, you have possibility to place 2 120 or 2 140. For the radiators, on top you can place 240mm radiator, and on front you can either place 240 or 280, which is quite alright. I mean, that means that they didn't sacrifice the power supply shroud, which is actually to my liking. So yeah, really cool. Now let's open up and see what we got inside from this part of the case. Thumb screws are, when you tie them out of the case, they are still inside the frame of the tempered glass. I'm just gonna put it here. So okay, you have a hole in the power supply shroud for the cables for your GPU. You have 2 additional screws right beneath the motherboard for, I don't know, USB 2.0, HD audio, also for the power reset and those kind of buttons. And on the side you have a bit of, it's pretty similar to P300A because the right part next to the motherboard is a bit dent in of the case, and you get possibility for a nice cable management on that side. Of course, by doing that, they have a nice access. You have a nice access with 24-pin cable to connect it to your motherboard, USB 3.0 or whatever you wish to connect from this side, because it has loads of openings, as you can see, and there is no problems for cables to access all their connectors, headers or whatever. Because of that standout part on the right side of the motherboard, both 240 and 280 radiators or 120 or 140 fans are, well, really close to that part. So, but to achieve that extra space on the right side of the case, well, basically on the front side of the case, they placed 280 radiator a bit, well, basically 4 centimeters on the right side next to the tempered glass. So you don't have to worry about anything here. I'm just noticing some stuff that I usually don't see in cases, and Phanteks did it here to achieve more space for the cable management. Now that's all there is to see here. No, I don't see any 2.5 inch SSD brackets or hard drive brackets. 2.5 inch, of course. We'll get to that part later on. And here we go with the backside. As you can see, it's quite nice gloss, but here we go. So when we're talking about 2.5 inch SSD, you have two brackets right here. One is if you decide to add additional SSD, you can always buy the additional bracket and place it here. You get two Velcro ties with Phanteks logo, which are really nice, and all the cables are already pre-routed here, but of course you're going to add 24 pin cable from your motherboard. The 8 pin has a nice hole here at the back for you guys to reroute it here, place it here on the side, because this is 1.5 cm and this is more than around 4 centimeters, so it's quite enough space for cable management here. And I'm really thrilled to see that Phanteks is basically looking out for you guys to achieve something like that. The power supply has actually loads of space because apart from the wideness of the case, you have loads of space to the hard drive cage. To access the hard drive cage, you just pop out the front part, the panel, which has that fine mesh, and you get the access to your hard drive cages with two actually 3.5 inch hard drive cage, and you can add, if you don't want to place 3.5 inch hard drive, you can place 2.5 inch SSD or hard drive. In one of those brackets you get the accessory box with all the necessary screws, zip ties, fan screws even. I mean, just everything that you need to assemble a PC build. So since we went through all the case and all the details, now there are only two things left. The top side, which has the power button, mode button, RGB button, you have two USB 3.0 and you have two 3.5mm jacks for a headset and for a microphone. And the second thing are benchmarks and thermals. Now building inside P300A as well as in P360A that I have right here is basically really a pleasure, and I think I mentioned that on Eclipse P300A. Now P360A is definitely a bigger case with more room, more space, and definitely more advantages. It still has the front meshed part that kind of takes the act of dust filter, and as well it gives you the ability to have a nice airflow. Let me show you how it looks. The initial blow and the initial spin of the fans kind of do create noise. Let's just finish. And then it lowers down. So basically just the initial boot creates fans going up to maximum RPM, and then when you boot to Windows it kind of lowers down and starts working at standard noise without any issues. So temperatures inside this case are placed on top the Phanteks Glacier 1 240 mph that was cooling the AMD Ryzen 9 3900X. So in AIDA 64, as already said in the Glacier 1 review, went to 64, 65, 66, but if you include FPU and other benchmarks inside the test, it goes up to 70, which isn't bad. I mean, 240 radiator cooling inside this case. The 12 core 24 thread processor is quite alright, and the GPU went maximum to 64 Celsius degrees, so I would say the two fans on the intake really do create a nice intake of an air, and spreading it throughout the case where the top fans blow out and the backside blows out as well. So guys, P360A definitely deserves a PC Crazy Performance badge. There's nothing left to say. I'm placing the links, well, actually two links for the Glacier One 240 mph, their new all-in-one from Phanteks, and of course the star of today's video, Phanteks Eclipse P360A, which stands for airflow. You can check them out in the description, and that's basically all there is to it. Thank you for watching today's video. Don't forget to click the thumbs up button if you like the video. Don't forget to leave a comment with your thoughts, and of course subscribe for future content. See you very soon. Bye bye.